Out of the 120 lawmakers who will be part of the next Knesset, 49 of them will be new lawmakers. It's the highest number of fresh faces going back more than 30 years. And 29 out of those 120 are women. It ties a record 4 years ago. And with me in studio now is one of those new lawmakers, I Golan, who is with the ruling Likud party. My thanks for being with us. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you
very, very much. A bright, new, exciting chapter in your life.
It is a new, exciting chapter. Although I've been a part of, the legislation and the Knesset members for the last decade, been working with them, I felt obligated to actually take responsibility and step out of my, social activism and actually bring the justice that I want to bring through the Knesset of Israel, and I'm proud I achieved that.
Be honest with me, number 32 on the list. Did you think you were going to make it? Were you confident? I mean, ultimately, this was the best result for Likud in 16 years.
True.
Netanyahu's never had a result like this.
Exactly.
Did you really think you were going to get in? I know you were hoping, but what did you think?
So I can tell you, first of all, it's a huge achievement, no doubt about it. I can tell you that no one believed. Everyone, had doubts. People thought at least maybe Likud will get 30 seats and you will get in, after some, couple of months. I trusted the people of Israel. Why did I do that? I could have run on a different district, on a women district, on the Tel Aviv district, which would have given me much more realistic, seat in the Knesset. But I chose specifically number 32, which is the young district, because I believe the Likud will get even more than 33 and 34. And I've been saying that all over the last few months, on interviews, and I was right.
All right, one of the first issues you'll have to face, and certainly an issue that's going to get international attention, is the issue of Netanyahu and the indictment. Soon, in a few weeks, there will be this final hearing. It's likely he will be charged with fraud and bribery. Do you still support him staying in office if that happens? Do you think there should be that French law bill, that bill that could shield him from, immunize him from prosecution altogether?
Okay, so first of all, about the bill, I know that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not dealing with it. He said himself he's not going to, put his hands on it whatsoever.
So what about you? You're a lawmaker now. Would you put your hands on it?
I can tell you that I, first of all, trust Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and I certainly believe that a person has the basic right to defend himself, to make himself being heard before they, hang him in the town square. Okay, so I trust and I hope that everything will be okay and Benjamin Netanyahu will continue to lead Israel on the best way that he could, like he did for the last decade.
But do you think a prime minister who's facing indictment, which is likely, how can he also lead the country effectively while dealing with the legal problems?
Well, we saw so many politicians that have been accused for issues that in the end turned out to be nothing, absolutely nothing. So who am I to sit here and judge a prime minister that has dedicated his life to this country and tell him that he can't continue to lead Israel because someone says he did something when he didn't even have the chance to defend himself? I can't do it.
I want to ask you, of course, you're well known for your activism on, especially in Tel Aviv, the issue of relocating thousands of African migrants. Actually almost exactly 1 year ago, there was a deal. Netanyahu had the deal in place with the UN that would have relocated more than 16,000 of them, more than half. Ultimately, Netanyahu himself froze that deal. He suspended that deal with the UN.
Canceled it.
Canceled it. Do you think that was the right call? This is an issue to your heart. Do you want to press him to bring it back?
No.
It would have had more than half that were relocated.
Okay, so first of all, that's my fight. That's what I do for the last 10 years. I was the first one who went against this deal, and I'm very happy to say that, Prime Minister Netanyahu has listened to what the activists and the neighborhood people had to say and canceled it. I know that back then, at that point of time, Benjamin Netanyahu thought that this would be the best deal, but I can tell you now, because we don't have much time, the numbers were wrong. We knew that ultimately the illegal infiltrators wouldn't leave Israel, and we went against this deal because we knew the basic details of it. And I can tell you now that just an hour ago, before I came here, we heard that Darfur, Sudan, has, broke free of the dictator there. So now there is, a new regime there, and we have Eritrea and Ethiopia at peace.
But isn't that why it might have been a good deal to work with the UN, to get thousands of them to relocate, to have them here, making sure they left?
First of all, I can tell you that I do not trust the UN. Okay, I do not trust their meanings. I do not trust what they have to offer. And I couldn't have trusted when they just offered to take half of a number that is completely wrong, completely wrong. You guys say that there's 30,000. I can tell you, and I can vouch for it, they're at least double the amount, at least double the amount. So I wouldn't solve a quarter of the problem and leave the rest of it hanging on who? On the weakest population of Israel, on the weakest neighborhoods who can't even deal with it today. I want a final, not a final, but I want, you know, my English is not that good.
A comprehensive plan.
Exactly.
But so now that you're in the Knesset,
yeah.
How do you bring this issue on the national level? I mean, do you want to fight for dismantling the central bus station? Do you want to fight for relocating, you know, to other neighborhoods? I mean, you have a national platform now.
Yeah.
How do you fight?
Okay, so, you know, after 10 years, when realizing basically that you can't do anything in Israel without the Supreme Court overruling it ultimately altogether. So we tried putting four laws, the last government of Likud has tried putting up, and the Supreme Court canceled it one after another.
So what do you want to do in this government? What sets you apart?
I know today that in order to remove the illegal infiltrators from Israel, to send them back to their countries, to whatever country they want. And not just that, many other more issues, you know, social issues that have problems in Israel and are being stuck, all lead to the Supreme Court. I want the people who were selected by the country in a democratic way to be able to rule, and today they can't do it. I'm going to work as hard as I can to legislate the overcoming section on the Supreme Court so the judges can judge, but the people who are elected in a democratic way can rule and legislate.
So change the law so that the Supreme Court has more limited power to overrule the laws of the next government.
You know what? We didn't go out to vote for the Supreme Court judges. We went out to vote for the people who represent us. And today, they can't really represent us as we want them to do. And that's what I think should happen, not just for the illegal infiltrators, by the way, but for the gas who is being stuck in the ground, and for the fact that we can't eliminate a terrorist when he comes to Israel and we have to ask the Supreme Court, and for the settlements that want to build in Israel. All these issues lead back to 9 judges who have a very specific political views.
Yeah, and speaking of settlements, I want to point out that's going to be a big issue in the next government, what to do with the West Bank, the Trump peace plan. Let's hear what Prime Minister Netanyahu had to say to us here on I24NEWS just a few days ago when we sat down with him, asked him about the possibility of applying Israeli laws to the settlements. Here is what Netanyahu said.
I said I would apply Israeli law, or next, if you will, the Jewish communities, the Israeli communities, in Judea, Samaria. I've said time and time again that I would not remove a single Israeli settlement or a single Israeli forcibly. I'm against this whole notion of ethnic cleansing. We're not taking anyone out. We're going to recognize, I'm going to extend Israeli sovereignty there. And yes, I told it to President Trump's people. They heard it. What they'll do with it is something else.
So what do you think? Applying Israeli law to Jewish settlements in the West Bank, do you agree with it? Would you fight for it?
I definitely agree with it, and I will definitely fight for it. You know, I think that the importance of Judea and Samaria is as important as Tel Aviv. This is the land of Israel, and we must treasure it, and we must protect it, and must keep it safe. And you know what? I trust our Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to keep Israel safe. I
trust his promise. But then what do you do with the Palestinians that live there? More than 2 million live there. I mean, what are you going to do with them? I mean, do you give them voting rights? Do you give them full rights? I mean, how do you stay a Jewish state and a democratic state if the West Bank, parts of it, are annexed?
Okay, so first of all, if you're referring to the Trump plan, which we don't know what's going on in it.
Have you heard anything? Because we're still waiting.
You know, I hear rumors just like you do. But I have trust in Donald Trump, which is the best friend that Israel had in America since I can remember, that he wouldn't hurt Israel. He cares about Israel. He cares about the safety of the people in Israel. So I put my trust in him and in our Prime Minister that this plan will not damage Israel. And you know what? Maybe we're expecting something good.
But I don't know. But it's an unanswered question, because I've asked other Likud lawmakers about, well, there's millions who live there now, Palestinians. If they don't want to uproot themselves, how does it not become they're second-class people? You're not going to give them voting rights or a say in the government. How do you handle them if they don't want to leave?
Okay, so first of all, you don't know that they don't want to leave. We don't know really what's going on there because they're under a very extreme ruling of Hamas and parts of Fatah. But we are dealing, the problem is basically that we are not dealing with the people. If we were dealing with the people, I personally think that this whole thing would have been different. But we are dealing with such extremists, with people that don't even recognize the basic right of Jewish people to live here. How can you do any kind of, negotiation with these people? How can you reach any kind of solution for both nations to live under peace? You can't. First of all, you have to have someone that you can speak to, that you can talk to in order to get something. And I want to tell you, the humanitarian state in Gaza is very important to me, okay? I live in a humanitarian, vibe where I care about the people of the world because I see what's going on in South Tel Aviv and I definitely see, from the TV what's going on there and I feel the sympathy of the same similarities. But you can't worry about people who are being brought up on education that is all about terror, all about killing Jews, all about hating. Once we have someone to talk to, you think Benjamin Netanyahu or the Likud party doesn't want peace? We don't want to live in peace? Trust me, we do.
All right, we'll have to leave it here. My Golan, thank you so much for being with us on Daily Dose. Great to have you again on the show. I know the swearing in is 2 weeks ago. I mean, you must be excited. Are you thrilled? How do you feel?
First of all, I'm very excited. It's something that I've been working for a long time. And the thing that I'm most excited about is to actually influence for the better on the country of Israel.
Very good. My Golan, incoming lawmaker, member of the Knesset with the Likud party. Congratulations on your victory. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you for having me.
Stay with us after a very short break.